17, almost 1,800 members. So that continues to grow. So thank you very much for that as well, for joining up and for just being supportive and being here and helping out. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, let me see here. Shall we get started on some of these questions? We
You mean
can
that
go
long
down
list
the
of
list
49
here.
questions that they put out there
Yeah.
in the
We
Discord?
got
That
we got about
oh,
49 to go through, so no beating around the bush here. We'll get right into it. We got a lot of things to talk about here. Some of these questions are repetitive, so I'll mention when we've already discussed it, and then we'll go over that one. We'll skip it, or some of them I have some things to say on. Okay, so we'll start here at question number one.
mhm.
Question is, I was wondering exactly the style of role play the server's going for. I understand it's a serious server, but to make it strong in my mind, I was wondering exactly what that meant, so I don't do anything to accidentally break the style, throw something off for others involved. Okay,
And that's a
so
fair one.
yeah, and obviously we've said that we're Civ focused and a serious server. What we kind of mean by this is, so this server is it's going to have a focus on Civ RP and story. This doesn't mean that we're anti-crime or anything. We'll have a lot of criminal elements. We just want to avoid having a strictly cops and robbers, gunfight, money grind, bang bang, pow pow, gun experience. Right? That'll still happen. There'll be plenty of it, but we want to encourage that portion of our community to also engage in other more civ based aspects of the world. Right? We'll add plenty of crime, but we want it to be think of it like this. If we would like a server where everyone is telling a story and there is a continuous amount of that story interjected with random bits of comedy, which for like a parallel to this would be a server with all comedy, everything's slapstick, everybody's kind of silly, they wear a lot of hats, and then there's a little bit of serious story, or however you want to word that, interjected into that from time to time. So we want to do the other side. Like, we're happy with slapstick comedy, happy to have it on the server, and characters dedicated to it, totally fine. We would just hopefully cultivate an experience in a server where everybody is considering what the other person is bringing to the table. If I come to you and tell you, something maybe that has a bit of a serious undertone, like maybe somebody's murdered, and I'm telling this my close friend, I'm telling you in character that my close friend died. What we would expect the players to do in that situation is read the room, understand that maybe this person is clearly trying to tell a remotely serious story, right? Like they're trying to there's drama there, and to not break that immersion with comedy. And I think that if we can get everyone to just read the room and respect each other's angle, then we will hit a really good middle ground. I think the disconnect normally comes from people trying to push a serious story or a narrative. Sometimes I think cops could be a good example. And then maybe the cops don't realize that they're being, like, you're robbing a bank. You're just vibing in there. Maybe they don't play off it properly, instead of being like, well, the police, I'm sergeant, whatever, and trying to negotiate seriously. So I hope that kind of answers that. That's kind of what we want the server to be. So relatively filled with story, and then from time to time comedy. Ideally, like, this is the what we're aiming. We're using QA meeting channel for chat, I think. So
Yeah.
they can type. Okay, it's not like emote only mode or something.
No, they're just memeing because it's
Okay, if you
what our
guys,
communities do.
yeah, I mean, this is definitely a active discussion. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to throw them, or comments, or not questions, comments, toss them in there.
We're emote heathens. That's great. I did
Yeah.
start a recording of it just so people have it.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you want it later.
Cool. 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 So
Um,
question number 2 here. Big one. Sci-fi supernatural RP question. Sorry, Ren. Were you gonna say something?
no, I was just gonna move on to question number 2 with you. That's all.
Yes.
You're
Okay.
good.
So I'm gonna read the question out loud here. Has there been any discussion or consideration on supernatural science fantasy RP? If so, has a stance been decided upon? In particular, I'm curious about players wanting to play characters that are things like demons or cyborgs, as well as elements like people claiming miracles or advanced technology like nanites. So on this topic, um, much like Scooby Doo, we want everything to be explainable in the end. We don't want anyone to be forced into a situation where they're being told that vampires are real, a definite reality. This doesn't mean you can't role play a vampire. You certainly can. You can claim to be a vampire till you're blue in the face. But at the end of the role play, at the end of the day, much like Scooby Doo, when the mask comes off, it should just be a man underneath. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the entire story, the narrative, throughout the entirety of it, can be focused on this. Is this person? Are there ghosts? But at the end of the day, there should be a explainable situation behind it. A realistic explanation for the situation. There's a big concern with supernatural role play in that sometimes it's very power gamey. A good example of this would be saying something like, I have a mask on that's my face. Like that would be, like it's obviously a shark mask or whatever. That would be a good example of power gaming. Like, oh, it doesn't come off. It's my face. Would be a weird one. Or if saying that you have a virus that would wipe the whole city out if you were to release it, something like that would be pretty. Unless your character's lying, if you're truly claiming that in character and trying to force that on people that I have a hyper virus or whatever, obviously would be power gaming, supernatural, in that sort of sense, high tech, somewhat, as long as the technology is somewhat of a, you can explain it away, or it's kind of borderline. I think a lot of this has to be kind of, it's there's no line in the sand here. We're going to do our best to, adjust this as we move on and properly account for everything that's going on the server. So we'll stay very vigilant about it, and we'll obviously keep the discussion open with the community too, and hear what you guys have to say about that as we get closer to launch, and we're talking more about this with the community as the overall entity. So everything's kind of still subject to, it's in flux.
Yes.
This is where our head is right now. Question 3. When Purple releases, is there any chance there being a private investigator job? If so, will the job's mechanics be similar to other servers, for example, professional camera and forensics, DNA and fingerprint? Or will it be reworked from the ground up? It won't be on in launch, but we will consider it for a future patch after launch. It is something we'd like to do eventually.
I'd like to actually finish that story or redo it.
Right.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to eventually go down that route, but not at launch. Question 4. The character I want to play, his identity relies pretty heavily on a specific mask. It is a part of vanilla, so I'm not worried about that. However, will we be allowed to wear them just in day-to-day life unless instructed by law enforcement to take it off? Or possibly, what about if by chance it happened to be glued to his face by some industrial strength glue? So for this one, the example of glue would be a good power gaming example, like I mentioned earlier, something like that. If I'm claiming a mask is your face, masks should always be able to be taken off, right? As for like day-to-day life, law enforcement will be able to take masks off in certain situations. We may have laws prohibiting them from government buildings, maybe. It's just to be decided, and police will be able to take them off during detention. So we'll kind of see where that goes, but that's kind of where we're at with that right now. Question 5. For characters who like to fish, whether it be professional by profession or by hobby, will there be storage solutions for them as opposed to carrying around a bunch of fish in your pockets, taking up your entire inventory space? Will there be storage solutions similarly for other professions and hobbies? Yeah, so storage will be a lot different from on this server than maybe some other servers you guys have played on. If you guys are referencing TRP with this kind of question, where you're filling your pockets with fish or something like that, or other servers of similar mechanics, we're aiming for containers to have a realistic hold. This means you're not going to buy 30 vans to hold, fish, and you're probably not going to fill a van full of fish on a single trip. You'd be there for days, right? A van can hold a lot of fish. You probably not going to run out of space. So we want our storage to have more of that approach to it, less annoying sort of trips back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Obviously, putting all your eggs in one basket's, if you don't get robbed or anything. So that's kind of where we're at with the containers. Question 6. Can we please have optional mini maps showing on the bottom left while walking? I usually have to have it open on the full screen map every other block so I don't get lost, and that just kills the immersion. Yeah, okay. We'll make it an item, and we'll make it optional. We'll call it a handheld GPS. We decided on, so we'll make that an optional.
That was a fun, quick conversation. We're like,
Yeah.
why not?
We can definitely do that. Yeah, I don't see a problem with it. We'll make it an item. Okay, question 7. When creating a race, will we be able to add our own checkpoints on the map, or will we be selecting from a list of preset races? You will be able to set your own checkpoints. We're aiming for a system that officially supported races with a potential reward system outside of player-driven economy, in addition to player-made races, point and leaderboard system with monthly rewards for static races. Maybe Snow, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Explain this.
Yeah, and we definitely want to give love to the racing community, and we'll also try to communicate with those putting up the races and see how we can improve those along the lines of maybe offering up, sponsored races and or having a system that gives you rewards for, scoring high on certain races regularly. Basically, we want to give love to the racing community if it builds up.
Yeah. Absolutely. Racing will be, I think, hopefully it'll be a big thing. I would like to see it be a big thing. It'll be very fun. Question 8. Could you go a bit more in depth with vehicle handling? For example, will off-road vehicles be a lot better than street vehicles for going off-road? How much will be able to improve speed and handling with upgrades? Okay, so this one is a lot about the vehicles, and obviously this is a pretty big topic with how they're going to handle. I'm of the opinion, I think the team is of the opinion that a slower car is a more dramatic car when you can kind of see what's going on and you're just behind them is a little bit better than going like Mach 2 and having the server fail to stream the entities to you properly and running into invisible walls, things like that. I think when the cars get too fast, the races end a little too, or the chases and the races end a little too quickly. So, in terms of handling, hopefully we'll be seeing the vehicles be a little bit slower than probably what you're used to. And as for like off-road vehicles, yes, certain vehicles will perform better under certain circumstances. Of course, I think that's a given. If you get a truck, you'd expect it to handle pretty well off-road. And if you're driving a sports car, maybe it's not made for the dirt, right? So I could definitely see that being a thing. Now we will have a lot of. I'm going to kind of refer to them as buffs and debuffs in the form of items and sabotage that you can apply to your vehicle. So a good example of a debuff would be, a brake line, right? Being able to cut a brake line. That's something we'd love to see players be able to do with each other is cut each other's brake lines. So, you start driving down the road and you try to hit the brake and, oh, wait a minute, that it isn't working, right? That'd be so that's a debuff. That's an example of a debuff. And there'll be buffs too. So things like NOS, right? NOS would be a good example of a buff. We would like to, you can buy NOS, things like that, install on your car. So yes, we will have a in-depth handling file that will be forever, constantly in motion and change. It's going to be a lot of work. We're aware, but we're dedicated to trying to get that going. I'm very excited about cars. Cars will be, there will be performance upgrades for them, but they will also have an odometer. So we're going to track the miles, how far you're driving in these cars, how long you're driving in these cars. And that's going to matter. Cars are going to wear down over time. You're going to need to renew them and keep them repaired. And as a car starts to dip down in durability, a number of things will go wrong. Things like, it maybe doesn't start on the first twist now. You got to twist the key a couple times. If the car gets a little too damaged, maybe the radio starts flickering in and out. The the tailpipe starts shotgunning fire a little bit more frequently, right? The engine sounds a little rattier. Maybe sometimes a car just shuts off, just stops working. So yeah, as cars get damaged and they drive a lot of miles, they will suffer from different ailments that mechanics will be able to work on. And yes, I do want to add car bombs. Okay, so yeah, that'd be another debuff. Things like that'll be
Wait
a lot
for
of
that.
fun for the cars. Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
Yes, car bombs, absolutely, be good. Pure chaos. So yes, I hope that answers a lot about the vehicle handling and the vehicles in general. Okay, let's see here, where are we at?
9.
Okay, let's see here. So question number 9 is about the team. I'd like to get to know the PRP team a little bit more. When did you first become part of the team? What are you responsible for PRP? And anything else that's cool you might want to tell us? We'll go down the list here on this and introduce ourselves to you guys properly. I think that's a great idea. Miss Nicotine, are you there? Uh-oh. Snow, you there? Run?
Yeah.
Okay, got Run. Snow, you there, bud?
Yeah.
Okay, got Snow. Nicotine? Her mic's just bugged, guys. Come on, come on, mic's just bugged. She's definitely there. She's okay. Snow, why don't you kick us off, introduce yourself, and then I will, and then
Hello everyone. I have got a bit of a cold, so I'm gonna keep it short too. I'm Snow. I'm mainly developing the server here. I'm also one of the owners with everyone else here, like Nicotine, Run, Katie, Xe. I have worked on 2 major roleplay servers before. Most of you probably know me from TRP, but I also worked on SOE before. And I'll be basically coding most of the stuff that we're talking about right now. Obviously, we have a pretty cool dev team that we're building up too, and they're helping me a lot. But yeah, it's a lot of work, and I'm very happy to see a lot of people also that I've seen before come here. And yeah, hello everyone.
good.
I kind of
Good,
wasn't
good.
ready to talk about myself if you guys didn't notice, so I basically, I hope it wasn't too bad.
That's fair. Thank you. Cool. Miss Nicotine, are you here now? Nice. All right. Anyways, so okay, I'll introduce myself. So my name is Katie. I'm one of the co-owners as well. I've been doing roleplay for a long time. I started doing it on Twitch many years ago, back on Life is Feudal before 5M was a thing. I know a lot of you guys here have only ever played the 5M roleplay, but it used to be a lot of different kinds of servers from Miscreated, Daisy, and all that. And I've been around the block on those. I love I love GTA roleplay. I really want to see. I just want to roleplay on GTA again. Really, it's my main motivation for all of this. Uh, I miss it. I miss it a lot. Probably like a lot of you here. And I played on many servers. Played on SOE to NoPixel to Family to TRP and a couple other servers as well. But nothing's ever felt quite like it. It fit me 100%. I do like the story a little bit more, but yeah. Anyways, that's me. I stream, and that's yeah. Thanks.
You're a
Run.
pro streamer?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
Nikki's fixing it.
suppose.
I'm fixing it. Nika.
Okay. Yeah. See, she's definitely she's here,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah,
Come on.
yeah. It's just a microphone.
Perfect.
All right, I'll go, and then hopefully Nika's will be fixed. And I know Axie's in here too.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Run, also known as Run Wild. I've been role-playing games, board games since I was a kid, and then started getting into Arc roleplay and found GTA through one of my friends, and ended up on a couple of different servers for that one. Ended up on Family RP, NoPixel, Twitch RP, obviously, which is probably where a lot of you know me from. And other roleplay games like Atlas, Arc, Conan, pretty much anything you could roleplay in, I did, including Division, which was very fun. So that was a little bit different. And the getting started as far as like being one of the owners, it just starts with conversations, and your conversations ignite your passion, and then we all just kind of agreed that we all just wanted to role play in GTA again. And that's kind of where it went. It was a pretty natural thing. When you trust people like Axie, Nika, Snow, and Katie, and you have that bond already from other games and other communities, it's very easy to have a chat and agree upon your base values of what you want from a roleplay server. And that's kind of what happened. I'm more or less responsible for whatever I want to take on. And I think that's kind of all of us. Snow's responsible for a lot of the code, and Axie's, models and emotes and being overall badass. Katie
Hello,
keeps the focus.
testing.
Run is
Yes!
doing police stuff. Run is working on
Yes.
our police stuff.
I'm
All
doing
right,
all the
everybody
police
think
stuff.
Run. And speaking of police stuff, we will have, for those of you interested, we will have more info on that as we continue.
Yes.
Hello, testing. 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you.
Excellent.
Oh my god. Hi, everyone.
ma'am. You
Sorry.
You good? All right, so that's
Yeah,
me.
I'm
I'm
good
gonna
now,
pass
sorry.
it to Nika, and then we'll do Axie. Go ahead, Nika.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself.
Hello. Hi, my name is Nicotine. I'm a GTA role player. I've been a role player for a few years now, and I've played on a lot of different servers, and I have a lot of different kinds of characters. So I feel like I have a pretty good perspective on what makes roleplay fun. I am a huge advocate for creator kind of, or not creator, but very creative kind of first roleplay. Like civilian roleplay is something that I feel really, really strongly about, and I think it's really a nice change of pace in the community to have a server that's really kind of civ first or focused. So that's kind of me. Hi everyone. Hello.
Awesome. Okay. Now Axie doesn't speak with Mike. I don't think he has a microphone or anything like that, but he will type something in the QA meeting chat to introduce himself. Axie is, and I'm gonna verbally kind of talk Axie up a little bit here. Okay, Axie is the best 3D modeler in all of 5M. I swear it. He's amazing. He's actually got some previews. If we're lucky, he'll post a couple little previews for you guys in QA meeting here after he types up a
There.
little summary.
They're
Oh, he
posted
did-
in the preview channel already, so actually
Oh,
posted some new
Excellent.
stuff.
Yes. Have a look
Yeah.
at the preview channel. That's some stuff Axie's been working on.
And every server is jealous that we have Axie.
They really, truly, they are. It's not even a.
It's
Axie's
not
I gotta
incredible.
say, I know some people raise some questions about like the quality of interiors, etc., in the discussion channels,
Yep.
and they've compared it to other servers, etc. But I can tell you, there's nobody with a higher, expectation of quality than Axie across 5M. There's
Yep.
people that think they're great mappers or they make great models, etc. And Axie will just stare out, tell me what they make is dog shit. It looks nice, but it's not optimized, etc. He
Yep.
knows what he's doing, and he's been doing it for years. He's
Yes.
been one of the first people to make really, really high quality pet models too. I don't think anybody even gets close to the level of making GTA 5 pet models that he does. Maybe the new Rockstar models, but even some of his custom ones they exceed that level of quality in my
A
eyes.
10 out of 10, yo.
Yeah, they are fantastic. We are very lucky to have Axie here and very happy to have him as well. He is one of the owners. And honestly, the reason this is happening, I mean, the man put it together. So we give him the credit for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
He talked
Fantastic.
to all of us about it separately, didn't he? Uh-huh.
He did. He wanted.
Yeah.
He believes in this project the most. Axie
Yeah.
is he's good. Good stuff. Okay. All right.
All the
Anyways,
doodles.
so let me see here. We are going down here a little bit more.
10?
General 10 is kind of the same as what we're just going over, so we're gonna skip that. We're gonna go straight to question 11. Will there be a blurry vision effect when your health is low or you're stressed? Actually, will there be a stress status at all? No and no to both of these. No blurry vision, any of that, and no stress status.
It makes some
Question
of us kind of nauseous, just so we're aware on that
Yeah.
one. It makes
Yeah,
players
the-
nauseous.
Yeah, you won't
Yeah.
get the your screen gets blurry for 3 seconds every 10 seconds or something. No.
It's super annoying. Let's see here. So, question 12 here is about the EMS. What will the command structure for EMS look like? Will we have multiple operational hospitals? If so, will EMS be statewide? Will they be tied to hospitals, et cetera, et cetera? We
Answer that.
just don't have an answer for that just yet. Yeah, we're not at the point of making EMS yet. We're trying to handle things one time. Obviously, you guys know we want DOC and we want police, of course. So we're working on police right now. That's our focus. For exactly how EMS is going to look, we don't know. Mechanically, we have some ideas. It's going to be very role play based. We're going to have a couple change mechanics from what you're familiar with. An example of that would be in respawning. So, say you get downed. If you don't get revived um, by a player, like so EMS or a police officer in some specific circumstance, and you respawn, what will end up happening is if a doctor's on duty, um, you will instead of respawning, say like at Mount Zona with full health and all that. If there are doctors on duty, you will actually get airlifted to the hospital, and then the doctors will get an alert that you're in the back. And they will come and heal you, and if they don't show up after an allocate, there's a bunch of ideas to it or constrictions, but if they don't show up after a certain amount of time, you'll get healed and you'll get released. But basically, it's going to give doctors that are on call at a hospital, they get the role play instead of you just popping up in the middle of the city somewhere, respawn, nothing goes on. If there's no doctors on duty, you will just respawn at the hospital and be okay. But yeah, that's the working ideas that we want to. Again, it comes back to that core principle of wanting to give, to push role play together and encourage it when we can. And this is an example of us working towards that goal. There's a couple other things. Obviously, we want there to be good medical role play, so we want to add mechanics to facilitate that. And that's going to take the form of pills, injections, and different kinds of medical items that you can issue and change the metadata of. So when I say metadata, I mean things like your name and description, right? So say somebody comes in with a role play element that you need to give them something for, you want to prescribe them something for. You'll be able to choose between a number of icons and colors, and then be able to rename it to whatever you would like to role play it as. So if you want to give them ibuprofen, you pick a pill of the appropriate color and size. You would name it ibuprofen, and you'd give it a description, and you would prescribe it to them. The same thing can be said for anything. And the idea here behind that specifically is so that it's a role play job, right? If you're doing the medic stuff, you're doing it for the RP. And that gives you freedom you could even create your own, medicine. Who says you need to stay completely, by the book? But anyways, you get the idea. That's what we're working on. So some of the stuff for EMS, there's a little bit more, but that should give you a good idea of the direction we're going with that. And when we have more information about EMS, we will let you guys know. So yeah, cool. Question 13.
Yeah.
How will housing work? Will there be defined housing areas, or can you get a house anywhere in the state? How much rides on real estate agents versus admins? Will there be more? Okay, so there's another bit more on this, but will there be more custom cars, i.e., real cars and add-ons? Will it be GTA lore friendly routes? So houses and cars. Properties will be available for characters to purchase. We will have defined housing areas throughout the state, and there will be upkeep costs, additional taxes for more property. So the way we are looking at this is we don't want it to be handled by admins at all. Ideally, I don't think we want it to be a whitelisted role either. This is something that I think over time will naturally develop. Probably want to have places like apartments where storage can't, or like buildings, can't run out, and have the city be more of a finite, real estate sort of area. I'd like to have it all purchasable, all the houses. That may not be directly on launch, but a large majority of it will be. Try to get a good variety out there from the start. So yeah, that's how we're gonna do. That's how we're gonna do houses. Again, I don't want to limit it to. I don't want to whitelist it behind any kind of real estate agent or admin or any of that. Jobs and professions on our server should serve more than one purpose, and certainly not just be a sort of a forced interaction like that. I can't think of what else a real estate agent would do other than farm money, really. Okay. Question 14. Thoughts on allowing people to RP using PED models? It doesn't offer nearly as much customization uniqueness. However, it should still bring quality roleplay. Yes, we will be allowing you guys to use PED models. And it's funny that you mentioned the customization and uniqueness. Spoil anything, but we got some special stuff in store for that. So yeah, PEDs, of course, you'll be able to use PEDs. They might even have more options than you might think. Question 15. How will gangs and guns be ran? Personally, seen a few ways this has been done. For example, in AI, which you have the register to create your gang, the AI gives you, daily missions, which creates conflict needs for others. Okay. Yeah. So guns. Well, this is quite the topic. I would like to see it not be whitelisted. While I don't have an exact answer for you here because we haven't designed the system yet. A lot of these things we're trying to have a bit of a more of a thought than more of a
Go get
thought
the guns
than a
here.
day's afternoon. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is that we're gonna offer you tools to enable your creativity when it comes to this kind of role play and to naturally work your way to that position. I'm a personal fan of benches. I like the idea that there's a limited amount of benches that allow crafting of these weapons and they exist and can be stolen. Stuff like that I tend to enjoy, but again, there's a lot to iron out. Generally speaking, I want guns to be a conflict item and hopefully you guys are competing to run guns and there's a real reason to do it and a way to take it from someone and all be done in character. I don't want admins giving guns to, we're not going to have any of that. So no admin gang, gun spawning, adventure time. We want it all in character. We will
Yeah.
find a system to put it all in character so that players can decide where it goes, and we'll strictly watch it to make sure it remains healthy. And that's it.
And as for progression, we will have progression systems for criminal as well as legal orgs. So there will be stuff to do for your group
Yes,
to
in-game
improve.
goals.
Exactly.
A lot of in-game goals on a lot of this stuff. When it comes to those sort of criminal elements. Yeah, buy guns at U-Tool. You're right. We'll just put glizzies on sale at only on Saturdays. Cool. Okay.
16 we've already gone over the racing portion, so we're good there.
Yeah, we've gone over racing. Question 16 has to do with racing. We'll have we've talked about that. 17, question 17. What kind of civilian jobs will we have non-whitelisted? Yeah, so this is interesting. Civilian jobs. I mean, a big part of the server is going to be encouraging players to take the mechanics we're implementing and to create their own jobs. Of course, we'll have professions that you can do, like state workers, stuff like city repair and maintenance is a big one that we've talked about. We want that, professional fishing. We'd like to see that, and a transport job where you have different levels of transportation work that you're contracted to do, and you gain experience for doing it. So things like delivery pizzas on from bikes or things like to all the way to trucking and big trucks around the state. Of course, we want to interconnect these jobs the best we can. Those are a couple examples of professions. We haven't ironed out every single one we're going to add, but those are a couple that we are certainly going to do. The the other aspect of civilian jobs will be encouraging those players to be creative with mechanics we're going to add. I'm a big fan of adding wide-reaching gameplay mechanics that can be combined in unique ways from your creativity to create a new job, right? To create a new thing to do to make money. So that's kind of hard to explain. I think slash scenes is a good example of a mechanic in that sort of respect. Or a metal detector would be a good example of a mechanic in that respect. So we're gonna add a lot of stuff like that. Obviously, you'll be able to sell cars and whatnot as well. We'll have that on the server. These are we're talking launch. We obviously have plans past launch. So question 18. When it comes to investigations in things such as a post-attempted murder, how will memories of the event be handled? Will there be rules such as new life rules if people have airlifted, or rules that no identifying characteristics can be remembered, such as names? Okay, so we're talking NLR here. Here's the thing. Now, this is going to be an interesting. This is one thing we have decided on here. We're not going to have an NLR at all. We're going to leave it to the player's discretion to remember the event how they would like. If they don't want to, if their character didn't, if they got hit in the head and they're going to role play, they don't remember. Good on you. If you want to remember your killer frame by frame or whatever, that's perfectly fine too. It's going to be up to us to encourage players to do this appropriately and to end conflicts. The reason we are allowing or we're not adding an NLR is because this is us saying, hey, we trust you. Please do good with this. It's better for you to have, as a role player, to have the agency to decide in a situation than it is for us to force you you don't get to remember anything except for 5 minutes, and of course adding the numbers, then you're doing math. Can I remember this? Can I not remember this? If I get revived and the police are questioning me, what can I say? There's a lot of questions there that you don't have to answer anymore. There is no NLR. Remember what you want to remember, and just don't, obviously don't power game people. So things like that. That's kind of how where we're sitting on that. That's where we're sitting on. Yeah. Well, again, subject to change. We'll see how it goes. That's how it's going to be on launch. Question 19. I'm curious how identity will be handled. IDs, Twitter, and such. Will it be a physical card that can be taken? And will Twitter allow account names or will it be locked to character names? Twitter will be open to any usernames, and IDs will be physical objects you can take. And we will have multiple IDs. Flight ID for helicopters and planes. Boats, boat license. We'll have a boat license. Gun license. We'll have a gun license. And a driver's license that you can lose. A driver's license as well.
We're looking at an air license as well.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Flight license. Yeah. That's
You're
right.
gonna get your flight license revoked there, Nika?
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Doris is gonna have to learn how to fly.
With the appropriate license, you'll be able to rent or purchase the appropriate, the different vehicles. And then obviously you'll be able to lose those licenses. If you were to say buy a boat and then lose your boat license, you could still use your boat just like you could in real life. But if you boat without a license, you could find yourself in trouble with police. But if you're getting pulled over on the high seas, then you might have bigger issues. So yeah, we want all that ideally from day one. Question 20. Piggybacking about physical cards, weapon hunting, driving. Yep. Okay. So we've talked about it. Yeah, we'll have licenses, different licenses. This is just about that. Let me see your question 21. Are we going to have in-server political positions? Yes. We're still ironing out the details of that. We don't have anything concrete for you, anything just yet, but soon. Soon we'll talk more about the political positions. How will player housing be implemented? Will we have the freedom to pick where we live? Yes, you will have the freedom to pick where you live around the state. We're going to aim for a lot of different options with housing. And you should be able to, we're going to have it so you can obviously customize your apartment, your home, things like that. Snow, do you want to talk a little bit about how houses will be implemented? If there's anything more to say on it. Oh, yeah, you're eating. Okay, totally understand. Houses will be customizable. They'll have a large amount of customization. There'll be a wide range of interiors, and they will be map-wide. I think that should be pretty sufficient. Question 23. This is another bit about player housing. Will we have government housing when we first join, or will we be homeless bums? Everyone will have access to a low-cost basic hotel, and will have the options to purchase and rent better and more robust properties. At the beginning, you'll have access to extended stay hotels and renting rooms like that. You'll have a bit of money to do that if you choose to. Though it will be optional. Yes, you can. You will have that. They won't be OP by any measure. You will want a house. It's not going to be perfectly safe. Those hotels. Okay. Question 24. There is an acknowledgement. Oh, hold on. There is an acknowledgement. Will be most players. Oh gosh. Oh boy.
It's basically about
be
the
NA
NA
based.
based. Yeah. NA based versus EU and AUS players.
How will EU and AUS players be assured that they will be supported and encouraged to keep role playing on the server? I wake up at 1 a.m. and I typically play about then. So I will be up there with you Australians, and be rest assured that we do care about you guys, and we'll do our best to extend things like judges to your time zone and get businesses for your time zone. I care for you Australians and EU plebs, I love you. We will do our best to support you. I promise. Promise, promise,
Yeah.
promise.
You
That
guys
is
gotta
a
remember half our owners are European too.
yes. I mean,
Yeah.
Snow's German. Yeah.
Nika does
Yes.
more kind of like earlier day from the PST side, so she normally goes live. You normally go live around like 3 or 4 on the EST, Nika. Sometimes.
Yeah, usually. Sometimes a little earlier, yeah.
I'm a little bit later on the NA side because I still work my 9 to 5 job, so I normally go live at about 6 or 7 and get on the server about the same time. So you'll expect
But
to
just
see me
because-
probably a bit later. But yeah, Nika
Just
will
because
go
we're live doesn't
anytime.
necessarily mean that we're not, like, working on the server too.
I'm checking Discord daily, all day long,
So
all day.
yes, the
Yeah,
answer is
we're
yes.
around.
We will be supporting you guys, and we will be making sure that your time zone is filled with the same content that the prime time, which will likely be America or NA. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. But yes, we will
Round the
support you guys
clock.
the best we can. Round the
Yeah.
clock. Question 25. Will there be an official policy on how players are supposed to deal with scuff situations? There seems to be two sides to it. Either go with the flow and stuff happens, just deal with it, or we must reset the situation. Okay, so yeah, this is a big one. Obviously, if you guys have played 5M, you've experienced the scuff. From players disconnecting to players not seeing each other to mechanics not working and bugs happening, people getting tackled from 50 miles away. And the policy on this, the way that I like to frame it is that shit happens. Sometimes you guys are going to be on the server and you're going to be doing a crime and shit's going to happen for you. You're going to get away because maybe you desynced a little bit, and for the cop you just TP'd away, but you don't have any idea, and you think you're just a driving god. Sometimes that'll happen, and sometimes you'll be driving down the road at 80 miles an hour and a truck will appear and you'll hit it and you'll get caught because of it. And the motto of the situation here is that shit happens. It's going to happen for you. It's going to happen against you. And ideally, in all these situations, we roll with it. We do not stop situations. We don't pause situations and interrupt everyone's role play. Hey guys, pause, time out, hold up, wait a minute. None of that. Everybody continue, please. We want situations to go forward. We never want to have anyone pause the role play to time it out or anything like that. Go with the flow. It is just how it'll be. If there are 4 criminals driving down the road and one of them disconnects, right? And nobody notices for a couple minutes or whatever, and that person's pretty much gone, they're gone. Get them next time. Not a big deal. It's just role play, right? Maybe they'll turn themselves in. That's fine. Maybe the cops will, just let it fly. That's also fine. We're gonna do our best to keep it courteous between us. We want to promote a culture where we're rolling with the flow. Sometimes, guys, scuff's it's gonna mess up a situation and it's gonna ruin it. And we can't. There's no reset button, right? The reset button would just be unimmersive. Wouldn't work. So yeah, it's just pixels. It's just for fun. It's not serious. This is role play. It's not an esport. We roll with these things. There will be, of course, situations where you do pause it because you can role play it without calling it a pause, right? There's a lot of creative people in this channel. I see a couple of you guys typing right now, and I know that you guys are smart enough. You've role playing long enough, and you know how to pause a situation without verbatim saying, "Hold on, let's wait for such and such to wake up." Right? You get what I'm saying? If you're subtle enough and you don't pull it into OOC terms and you have a good reason to sit them there, nobody's going to complain. We're not going to come after you for that. We're not going to be draconian about it. Generally speaking, please continue the situation, especially if you're not comfortable enough with carrying it like that. But yeah, that's our thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you want to say something on that, Snow?
Yeah, if it happens
please.
and it's the complete other side, and there's no way to continue without waiting, then it's just also common courtesy that you wait, obviously.
Yeah.
Like don't use these things against people. Like, let's say you're in a bank and there's one cop that responded and you clearly notice that he crashed, and then you take this chance to flee, and there's no one else. It's very, very bad manner to just flee there and not at least wait a little bit for them to come back.
Yes, there will be situations where you guys have the opportunity without breaking the immersion to hold and wait, and and in those situations you should definitely try to accommodate if you can. Okay, let me see here. Okay, 26. Question 26. How will the mechanic's job look like? Buyable parts, who can buy them, and or craftable parts? Okay, mechanic job. There's a lot to talk about when we talk about the mechanic job. We've me and Snow have gone over this quite a bit. We think we have a decent outline of what's going on, but the gist of it is, I know I talked about the debuffs and buffs earlier, but I'll reiterate on that. Cars will have different statuses, and there'll be debuffs and buffs for them. A good example of a buff would be NOS, and a good example of a debuff would be cutting a brake line, right, or a car bomb, things like that. There will be upgrades too that change the performance, and there will be different brands for these performance parts. So you're going to want to kind of mix and match. The brands will give you a good idea of what's going on, but probably mix and match and test them. There will be different kinds of brakes and all that, of course, and whatnot. So that is an idea. Of course, like other upgrades would be things like maybe hacking could have some kind of upgrade with vans, where if you have the hacking upgrade with a van and you're hacking within a radius of the van, you get a buff on something. That would be a good example. It's not set stone, but it's an idea of something we could do and would do with it to give cars another level, to have a specialized work vehicle, stuff like that. Mechanics themselves will have options to craft some of these parts and to obtain them. Some parts will be actual items that you will have to stock, like things like tire smoke. They won't be something you pull from a menu. It'll be something you buy from a shop and install. Yeah, we only have green and red tire smoke in. Are you interested in that? You know what I mean? That kind of example. Things like underglow, illegal parts will have. There'll be items. There'll be actual items for you. So you'll install a color kit or whatever onto a vehicle. Vehicles will have odometers, and odometers will track permanently. Will track how far the car has driven. You will need to maintain your car as you keep it on the server. Eventually, without maintenance, your car will brick, and it will be more cost efficient to buy a new one than it will be to fix it. Though the option to fix it will remain for you true role players out there who never want to part with your first car. It won't be cost efficient to keep it, but you can keep it, just like you would in real life. It's often a lot cheaper to buy a new car. But you don't give up your baby, right? So that's the idea there. It's a little more pricey, but you get to keep your car if you want to really, really overhaul it and keep spending money to repair it. Now, the real idea here, and the real sort of, kind of want to use the word radical idea, is that cars degrade permanently. I'm sure you guys have played on servers where everybody has every car and all the cars have no value. We want cars to have a value, and the only way to really truly achieve a long-term value for a vehicle is to make it so that it's not permanent. This doesn't mean it's going to break in a week, and it doesn't mean it's gonna break without you actually breaking the car. You are gonna have to crash the car to damage to it, right? But the odometer will, of course, damage it over time, a long time, over time, nonetheless. So yes, cars are not eternal. You might have to pour one out for the homie, for the car, if you if you lose it. So might be a thing. Yeah. Snow, do you have any more comments?
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
German brand cars definitely will last 50% longer than
Oh
American brand cars.
What is this? What is this? I need real. This man.
There's going to be only one mechanic who can fix them, and he's in Liberty.
Yeah.
True. You need to
Yeah.
shit them off.
God. Okay, we have a look here.
Yeah, I think you guys seen the UI with the odometer. So if you want to rent out your car to someone or you lend it to someone, you can actually see how far they're gone to.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
you ask them, or they ask you, I just need this car to get over there, and then the next day you got it back with another 500 miles
Oh
on it.
yeah,
This guy was definitely not doing what he told you he did. So
that's interesting.
You didn't even put gas back in the car either.
yeah, I think.
Um,
Oh, have you talked about the permanence of vehicles?
Yeah, so let's talk about the permanence of vehicles for sure. Vehicles will have a level of permanence in our world, and we mean this in two ways. The first way we mean this is that they are not going to poof. We're using a different system with them, so they should remain in server at all times. If you leave it in a parking lot, it'll stay in the parking lot. It doesn't mean it won't get towed or something, but it does mean it's not going to just vanish. So that's nice. The second part of this permanence is that if you park it downtown, a car is downtown. If you park it in Polito, the car is in Polito. So take your car home, right? If you wanna wake up and get in your car again, drive it home and park it in your garage. So that'll be kind of how that works. Cars won't be teleported around the map. There will be a value in driving, and you will need to, obviously you're gonna need to drive your goods around instead of teleporting them. So none of that. Um, any other things we need to talk about Snow on this regard?
No, I mean, I think to drive that home, if you leave your car in a parking lot somewhere and the server restarts, it's still gonna be there. So
Okay,
don't
cool.
expect after restart to go to the garage and pick it up.
Yeah.
And if you lose your car, there'll be some way to track it so you can find it. And only if your car is irreversibly damaged, like underwater somewhere and unrecoverable, is when you can actually recover and claim insurance and get it back.
Yes.
And that will
Uh,
obviously also have an effect on what Katie said with damage. And like, if you total your vehicle like that, it'll have a bad effect on,
yes.
the damage and the debuffs, etc. And on the long running, gonna devalue the car if you do that too many times.
Vehicles. Think of vehicles like having a percentage max health of 100%. If you damage it, it might get damaged by 0.5, right? A little bit, depending, right? If you blow it up, maybe a couple percent. You know what I mean? The idea is that anything under 15%, for example, just random number here, it might be 20, might be 10 on launch, but we'll use 15 for an example. Anything under 15% damage would cost the same amount of money to repair. And obviously you won't be able to know the exact amount of damage that's done to your vehicle. Mechanics will be able to estimate the damage based on their skill with a certain margin of error. So they'll be able to kind of say, well, it's a little damage. You could probably go for a repair. If you keep your vehicle repaired, it'll continue to work. It'll continue to work just fine. If you let your vehicle fall into disrepair, okay, this is where it gets interesting. So we're gonna have your vehicle break down, and you'll see that happen gradually. So after a certain amount of damage done, total damage, like overall health done to the vehicle, stuff like the radio will flicker, the exhaust will pop more, the vehicle might rattle, it might be hard to turn on the vehicle. The vehicle brakes might be a little inconsistent, things like that, right? So your engine could pop, maybe it could explode in the hood, things like that. Your doors could fall off. Maybe you open your car door. You guys ever have that bug where you open your car door and your door just falls off? We could make that happen on purpose, and we probably will. So maybe your doors just fall off sometimes when your car's extra shitty. You take care of the damn thing, or it's just in disrepair. So that's the idea. We want that permanence, that sort of that personality. There are going to be some of you out there that refuse to repair your car entirely, and I hope you get pulled over, you lunatics. That'll be a thing. I'm certain of it. Just because you want the car to be breaking. Yeah, cool. Anyways, yeah, that's vehicles and upgrades. Obviously, we talked about parts and stuff. But yeah, cool. Vehicles, I'm very excited about vehicles in general. It's going to be very good. Mechanic job is going to be fun. All right. Will name changes be included in marriage adoption certificates? Will be their way you can get your partner's cars from garage, maybe if they sign an affirmation form or something. Okay. Couple of questions on this. Housing, will there be different types of properties? Yes, there will. Drugs, will drugs have addiction, withdrawal, side effects? The drugs, let me see here. We the drugs are going to be they would be strictly role play for the addiction and withdrawal, as right now it's not planned. Injuries, we're not planning on any bleeding mechanics for injuries. So injury question is, if injured and shot, will you slowly bleed out until you get medical treatment? And what will happen if there's no medical staff online? Obviously, we're a little concerned on launch there. We're not going to have super strong departments all around the servers. So there will be ways to heal without medical staff being online at the beginning of launch. And as we continue the server's lifespan and we start recruiting EMS, we're hoping we can just kind of phase that out quietly, and nobody will miss it because we'll have medical staff around the clock. So the goal is to get medical staff, but we'll have alternatives. You will be able to heal without med staff being on the server when they're not around. Though an option will be present. So name changes, an adoption certificate, and marriage certificates. So on that one, it's an interesting one. We will have the ability for you to change your name, I think, right? So we're planning for that, and we
Yeah.
will have the ability for you guys to obviously have marriage and all that. Name changes. I think we could say they will be included within marriage and adoption certificates. We could probably work something like that out.
No, we said
maybe
there
no
was going to be cost
Yeah, it's just gonna cost money.
It's going to
Yeah.
cost you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll cost you.
because it costs
money.
you in real life. So we do want to have some sort of money sink into that.
Yes.
Yeah, and you only do it
Okay.
if you mean it and not,
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Fantastic. All right.
Yep.
Yes. All right. Question 28. Also, will there be illegal car parts and tire? Okay, we've talked about vehicles, so that's a little redundant. We'll go to 29. Car dealerships with odometers coming into play. What would used cars struggle with that new ones won't? Well, the mileage, the faster the breakdown of the parts. I've talked about it a couple times. Of course, cars with a high mileage will. What the fuck, Willow? Sorry, I got cat aggro. She's knocking stuff off my desk. Evil little voidling. We talked about vehicles enough. All that's been covered on that. Question 30. How will characters spawn into the server? Will we be able to choose from designated spawn hubs to be able to get RP quicker? Or will we be able to more of a load last save type of spawn? This is gonna be a fun one to answer. So spawning on the server is going to be we're going with an idea, what we call social hubs. So each sort of genre on the server, from legal civ RP to gang RP, will have a bit of a social hub connected to it. All right. You will have the choice of spawning between them. So we'll use the legal hub as an example here because it's the one we've had the most thought about. Essentially, one of our core principles on the server is bringing players together through subtle mechanics. I'm not going to force you to role play with a player. I just want to encourage you to be in the same area so that role play could happen if you choose to engage with it. An example of this is if you get a state job, you don't get your paycheck deposited directly to your bank. It goes to the justice hub, okay, the legal civ hub, where you pick your paycheck up. That's one of many things you do at this, what we're calling a social hub, right? The other thing that's going on is probably court cases, right? Things like that. Police would have a lot of reasons to be there. If you're doing anything related to licenses, you're probably at the courthouse. If you're, ideally we have just a ton of things in one area, in a region that drive players into that area to hopefully interact. Maybe you meet your coworkers on the way to the bank, right? You get what I'm saying? So that's the idea, at least, when it comes to that. So we do want hubs. As for how players will spawn, a little bit different. It'll remember your location for a time. So if you log out of the server for and we haven't set the time yet, but for 3 hours to 4 hours, for example, when you log back in, you'll spawn in the same spot. After that, you'll have to choose, your house or social hub to spawn at. And the idea between that is obviously just so that everybody's waking up and they're coming out of their apartments. That's a good place to meet role play. That's a good place for that role play to happen. We're not interested in snuffing out any kind of RP happening in these parking lots. It's actually the whole idea. We parking lot role play always happens. So we're just taking that and we're going to give you guys an area where there's a bunch of activities for civs. There's a bunch of different things to do, reasons to be there, and it's totally okay to just role play in that area. It's totally fine to go meet people there, because that's one thing I think is really important: being able to just go to a place to meet people, right? To start role play. This is one of those areas that'll be, and we're aiming to have a hub for each genre of gameplay. So civil, legal, role play, and civilian. Maybe criminal, right? And then maybe just something more ambiguous like civilian, right? Apartment block, something similar to that. They haven't been completely fleshed out, but that is the working idea. How that's going to take form maybe changed a little bit on launch from what we're talking about, but that's the crux of it. That's kind of what's going on with characters spawning into the world. Okay, question 31. Will in-vehicle shooting be forced first person or third person? We won't have any forced perspective. You won't be forced first or third for any reason whatsoever at any point in time. The only thing we're going to be doing with the different perspectives is first person will likely be getting a nerf in that you won't be able to do this weird, awkward jiggle run thing, like strafe back and forth thingy. We're gonna do our best to remove that, so you'll just be perpetually walking. You know how whenever you go first person, you start jogging for some fucking reason. We're gonna try to limit you to just being able to walk, so when you go first person, it kind of feels a little more immersive. You don't just start breaking out into a sprint for whatever reason. So it'll feel a little more consistent. So you can go first person without ruining everyone's immersion. It'll be better. It'll be a lot better. Trust me.
We'll try to do that if we can.
Axie's, I think Axie, do you want to talk on that? You have any? Because Axie's figured out how to do it, from my understanding, from what I've seen. But I may need some tweaking. So no promises. That's the goal, though. That's what we're aiming for when it comes to that. So, but no forced perspective. It's a goal. We'll call it a goal. So hopefully we'll see that on the server at some point. Sorry.
Yeah, goal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's better. What about walking backwards? Well, that's another reason to fix first person, right? Okay, so on that same question, if it is that the vehicles are forced first person, no, none of that. Let me see. Will bigger weapons be on people's backs? Snow, do you want to answer that one?
We didn't want to do that. We think most of the time it looks pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to do weapons on backs.
Yeah, we will have a different solution that is like the goal. Maybe not for launch. We'll see, where there's clothing parts for the MP pads that have slings, etc., which look good. That'll be a lot of work. And when we have that in place, then for the for the pads that can't wear those clothes, we'll use a backup system where it's on the back. But generally, probably we won't start with a system where you have the gun on the back.
Great. Question 32. Crafting. Will it be used? Will it be greatly used for things more than cooking, or like lockpicks and guns and such? I know there's a lot of in-character things that can be made. I know metal detecting was brought up, and maybe metal detecting for. Okay, I see what's going on. So, yeah, we'll have a lot of different crafting. Some of it will be determined by your job and your hobby and your profession, your skill, what you're doing, and some of it will be determined by just what you found in the world. Some things will be event specific, like some. I know we've shown you guys the capes. There's plans for some capes to be event specific. That would be a recipe that you have to make that cape that you got from an event or something like that. So some crafts will be rare and only be able to be achieved a limited time, or have a different requirement overall. So yes, we will have a lot of different kind of crafting. Crafting will be ideally it'll be a pretty big part of the server, being able to move around and have an economy based on some of those items. We may not have like raw wood and stuff. We don't know what form it'll take, but we do want crafting. The next question has to do with car durability. From from bubbles to ping issues to serviceability, not just having stable internet time. Cars get smacked around a lot during chases, off-roading, the nasty teleporting locals. Will we be able to we going with a car explode after so many hits, or cars become too damaged to continue and break down, or a mix of both unless you yourself? Okay. So basically, this question is asking about car durability and what will happen. Will they explode if they get flipped? I do think the idea is that we will let you. I guess there's a bunch of different little things when it comes to cars we've talked about. One of them is that if you flip a car on its hood, I guess we should start simple. The air control, we do want air control. So we do want cars to have air control. However, we don't want cars to be able to flip if they're on the top unless you get out of the vehicle and do an action. So we'll probably have some kind of way for you to flip vehicles. It'll take a little time. There'll be a penalty for doing that, but it will be fixable. Maybe eventually when the server's very full and we have a lot of people doing all the different jobs, we could rely on a mechanic to fix that, so like a tow driver to come out. But in the beginning, we don't want to cuck the gameplay too much if we don't, even if we don't have since we might not have the people around at all times to do that. So we're going to add a mechanic, much like the hospitals, as a bit of a fail safe, so the gameplay can continue even if the person isn't around to do the job. Other little things with the car durability and how they'll the sort of mechanics on how they'll function. I suppose we've talked about the different handling types, so off-road and on-road sports and things like that. Obviously, that's a part of it. We would like cars to have a sort of a slower handling and handle somewhat realistically. So there's a benefit for off-road vehicles and a benefit for vehicles that are made for the street. I don't think we intend to have cars explode after enough damage, but we have plans for them to have a bunch of different damage states. So I mentioned the brake cutting to you guys. That's an example of a damage state that we do want cars to have. So they'll probably have a little bit more than just they'll probably have some options, I guess is a better way to put it. I know I've seen servers in the past have things like pitting, so maybe that would be a goal later down the line for that kind of interaction with police vehicles in general. So yeah, that we'll see how that goes, but that's what we're working on now. We will have this next question's very long, and I'm a little tired, so I'm not going to read the entirety of it off. But it's asking about penal codes and if we'll have that publicly available. We will have penal code and laws be available for your character. The next question is 34. It's about licenses, hunting, guns, driving, and vendor. Are there plans to implement these and let them be recoverable? What is that?
Revocable.
Revocable. Jesus, I can't read.
I got you.
Revocable. It looks so weird to me. Items through PD and the judicial system. For example, someone gets caught poaching, they'll get their hunting license revoked. Yes. So you will have the option to get your license back. I'll use driving for an example. The way we want the driving license revoked to work is there are a number of different things, infractions in the penal code that you can do that will revoke your license. And if you do something that isn't one of those, the license doesn't get revoked. If you do one of them that does revoke it, like evading, for example, then yes, it will get revoked. It'll be gone for a week. It'll automatically reinstate after a week. And if you believe this was wrongly done, then you can appeal the court system and bring your case forward to have it seen before a judge. And they will make that decision to either reinstate it early and give the license to you back early if the cop was in the wrong, or they'll make you wait the week. The idea with this is that the role play is optional. You're going to get it back in a week if you want to wait. But if you want to go have the RP, you can go do that. I think forcing people into role play is a way we get a lot of bad role play, because if you don't want to do it, you're not going to put a good amount of effort into it. It's just how it is. If I'm forcing you to do role play you don't want to do, you're not going to put 110% effort in. So it has to remain optional in that sort, so that the quality, so that it remains fun, the justice system.
Yarp.
Okay. Cool. So that's licenses. We've talked about other licenses before, so I won't go into any of those, but yes. We'll have court stuff. Question 35. Will it be legal court RP or just get a lawyer to talk down sentences and a fine? All this is to be decided. We haven't really made concrete decisions on this just yet. We obviously we want lawyers to have a good role in the system, and we want to find a way to incorporate them so they have a lot of role play in the cells too. That this will just happen with time. We really got to sit down and think about it. We don't have a answer for you guys on that just yet. That's all coming soon. That kind of comes with DOJ. We're working on the cop right now, cop stuff. Then we're going to go to DOJ, and that'll be part of that. Okay, question 36. This is a bit of a broad question. What has the staff learned from being on other RP servers, and what can the staff as well as the community do not encounter the pitfalls of other servers constantly? Okay, so this is a interesting one. Obviously, give me one sec here. Hold on. I skipped over one question here.
I think that was RB when we were covering the questions, and I put question instead of answer. That was my bad.
Yeah, I see that. So another question I have here is, this is before 36. Will players be able to have custom license plates, maybe through a donation to the server that they can get, maybe going through DOJ? Yes, we will have custom license plates. They will be purchasable through our store. That's going to be one the way you would get those. We'll have custom license plates. It'll be a way to support the server, and you'll be able to get them.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. 36. This is a bit of a broad question. What does staff learn from being on other RP servers, and as well as the community? And what can the staff as well as the community do not to encounter the pitfalls of other servers consistently have? Yeah, this one, kind of a big one. Obviously, everyone in this room here, for the most part, that's talking, played on all the sort of the past servers. Snow mentioned he worked on SOE. I played on SOE. I think Nicotine started around. She's tried a lot too, and Run has played on all those servers as well. We're all very, I guess you could say we've been around the block with them. I've learned quite a bit. I mean, I could talk to you guys about this for hours, to be honest with you, in terms of what I have learned from the servers. But sort of some of the biggest stuff really comes down to role play over rule play, right? Like a lot of the principles of the server, things I talked to you guys about when it comes to things like the NLR. I think this is a great example. NLR. We could easily implement NLR, and it would make our job easier from an adminning perspective, right? It would make our job a lot easier. It's a clear-cut rule that we can cut people on and have them follow this rigid system. And it would make our lives easier. We wouldn't have to go case by case with all of them. However, it would also stifle creativity. We want to trust you guys. If one thing I've learned on playing on these servers is that if you can trust your community to give good role play, and you give them the room to show that they can do it, they will surprise you a lot of the times. So we want to give you guys room. That is one thing we've learned. We don't want to, if we have a bad apple, we get rid of the bad apple. We don't throw all the apples out. We're not going to remove mechanics because one person abuses them. We're going to moderate the mechanics so that everyone can use them to their fullest abilities, not remove them because of bad actors. There will be bad actors, of course, when it comes to these mechanics, of course. And there will be bad actors when it comes to this NLR stuff. I'm sure we'll have people claim to police that they don't remember anything and then tell their homies they remember it all. I'm sure we're going to have some weird stuff like that happen. But the perspective has to be that we assess those situations as they come up, and we handle them so that you can continue to have the freedom, because at the end of the day, the majority of you are going to use the no NLR ruling that we have, and you're going to do great things with it. I have faith that when it makes sense for you to remember, you will, and when it doesn't, you won't. I believe in you. So we're just giving you guys, we just have that faith. That's one thing. Does anyone else want to talk about some things they've learned from past servers, Nick Snow?
Yeah, I think what's important is that when we notice or when there's an effort by community members to make the community better, they put in a lot of time, a lot of effort into very good role play that maybe doesn't serve their fun as much as it serves the whole community. We will try to reward those things with interiors, or support the community in making stories. So if we get approached to help with that, and we see that it will have a good impact on the community, then we will help. And we won't go against that and just give ourselves interiors to justify our role play. No, the entire community will have a chance at that. So
Yes.
you can own a business somewhere and get an interior for it, and it's not just for
Without
a house. Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna watch people on the server, and when they're doing good role play, we're gonna try to encourage that and promote it, and enable it so that you can, if you're giving good RP, that's what I want. You know, that's what we all want. We want people to role play. So yeah,
I think there's a
cool,
lot of
cool, cool, cool.
differences with everything that we've done so far, with how we've started with PRP, and I think we're going to continue that way, which is continue to engage the community and have discussions. And I mean, there's one going on right now, right? Reflex brought up Casual Fridays. I'm against it. I hated it.
Yep.
It's not done inside of real cop RP. It's not needed or inside of like IRL cop. It's not needed. It's called a uniform. If you want a Casual Friday, get it at your real job.
Yeah.
On this server, I've already said it, and of course, Axie being the chief of our uniforms, there's enough bending within inside of our uniforms that we have, that you have enough options to customize it for your character while still staying in uniform. So there's a lot to that. However, right, Axie's given some other fun things that you can kind of see in the preview channel already, that there's like a hoodie that can be used at certain points for a particular thing. So we are wanting to kind of have a casual leniency to it for particular situations. And that's one of those things of listening to the community of not bending on Casual Fridays, but not not bending too far on certain things. So want to support the continued role play in stories. So
That is an excellent point. So yeah, I mean, have a look at the preview channel, guys. Look at the police hoodie. A big goal is that we're going to try to expand the options you have for having a uniform that is cohesive with your police outfit, but is also different, so you can express your creativity. Because obviously, it's about the creativity with you guys, right? Like everybody wants to look a little unique. You don't all want to look the same. I kind of get that. Obviously, the whole point of a uniform is to be uniform, so that it's you're selling something, right? When you're role playing a cop, you're selling a lot of different things, and one of those things is immersion, right? You're selling that immersion. Not everything can be a clown fiesta, and I think that having a uniform and sticking to it is good. It's good for the health of the server. It looks nice. It feels good to role play with. I've role played on servers where every single police officer is forced to wear the campaign hat. In fact, if you get punched and your campaign hat gets knocked off and you don't put it back on, oh my god! Back in like SOE or old school family, you get ribbed out for that, not
Yep.
losing your hat. And it sounds silly. It sounds super anal, and it sounds really a bit of a hard ass policy. But what it really did was it created a culture around the hat. It gave meaning to an item that was otherwise meaningless, because the hat is meaningless. The only thing that mattered was the role play around it. And the uniforms are a big representation of that. So we're going to add a lot of options for you guys to customize yourselves. And I want to add booty shorts personally, like Reno 911, some stuff like that.
That's for
so
Bike
hopefully,
Patrol.
yeah, Bike Patrol. Hopefully we'll see a lot of options come through. But yeah, we want you guys wearing the uniforms. Axie doesn't spend all this time in the world for you to, on all these different things for you guys to wear like bunny ears. God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sass bikini. Hell yeah. Cool. All right. Let's see here. So, question 37, how will undercover operations for cops be handled, if at all? Are there plans to implement laws in the style of no face, no case in regards to mass usage? Are there plans to look at this kind of thing from a different perspective? I absolutely understand the argument that anyone can just throw on a piece of clothing and impersonate another person, but this law also seems like it could be used to help motivate criminals to wear masks almost all the time. Curious how something like this might be addressed. All right, Run's going to answer this one for us. Run, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. A lot of this just comes down to also mask wearing culture, right? So we've already talked about possibly having laws against wearing masks inside of like government buildings, like hospitals and police stations and courthouses and the like. The other part is I don't really want to have. We don't want to have a culture of you constantly wearing a mask. If you're going to go commit a crime, put on your mask, and then that way you can hide your identity and then take it off later. And that's the kind of thing we'd like to encourage. Obviously, you need to be. You're not a real raccoon, Jay. You need to be able to hide your identity when you're committing those crimes, which does make it a little bit difficult to identify a person. So it's not a no face, no case. It's the ability to identify a person based on what they're currently wearing, and then see what type of car they're driving. So you have to have a couple different ways to identify a person. Obviously, voice does not work, right? You can't identify a person by their voice by themselves. If we did that, right, we could legitimately, arrest 3 of Katie's characters because her characters are different, but her voice remains the same for a few of them, right? So that doesn't work. So we need to come up with identifiable markers. So that includes things that they're wearing, cars that they're driving, people that they're around in order to identify them. So no, we're not going to do the whole no face, no case thing.
Awesome. Fantastic.
You're
Question
fantastic.
Question 38. In terms of laws, will the penal code be open for public view, lawyers and players, as well as public MDT for employees? Yes, you'll be able to view all that publicly. All the citizens will have access to it. Also, for fines and times, since DOJ is going to be a beefy boy, would PRP be going more on the times for RP that can come from prison? Not saying to 9 everyone over an accidental manslaughter, but also make going to jail something that's not like a, hey, 10 minutes timeout. Yeah, so Run's going to talk about this a little bit, and then we'll talk about jail times a bit together.
So we're doing a whole lot of things when it comes to the PD, plus, DOC is also going to be a thing. So we don't want you to obviously spend. We're not punishing the role play. That's the big thing, right? We're punishing a character. But there is role play that's going to be had in the prison system. So while we are still working on the penal code and what those times and fines are going to look like, it should be very well balanced between what costs a speeding ticket is not what it costs to rob a bank, right? It should be very well balanced in that particular way. But again, right, I don't want you to commit some sort of change lanes and we pull you over and have to take your license and get sent to jail, and it's 10 minutes. You can stay past the 10 minutes, right? I think this came up in the general chat the other day or in the gameplay discussions. We want you to be able to stay in prison if you want. After your, let's just say, 10 minutes is up, or you can leave, whatever you choose to do. Because there are going to be people who want to play, lifer characters or just spend more time in prison to develop that type of role play with the DOC characters as well. So yeah, we'll continue to look at that one, but we're going to try and work on making sure that it's very balanced. And much like anything else, right? We'll test and adjust as we need to, based on kind of how our community ends up going. Katie, you want to speak more on that?
Yeah, so times. Here's the deal, guys. We want to add a lot of stuff to make it, we want to encourage you to stay in jail. We want it to be fun for you guys. Just like Run said, it's optional to get out of jail. I know that sounds kind of weird. You guys are thinking optional? Like, why? Why is it optional? Because we're going to have the DOC. So to get out of jail, you're going to have to go and sign out of jail. This is your out of character option to stay in jail and role play a criminal in jail. And you can do that for any number of reasons, and you could make up your own reasons, like, I got denied to come out there, hold me a little bit longer or whatever. But the end of the day is what it means is that you can start prison gangs. You can start doing prison role play. And we're going to have hopefully a full set of mechanics to accompany that. Over time, it may not be directly on launch, all the mechanics we want for DOC, but hopefully we can get a little bit in there. Another thing is that we really want to, Snow, you'll have to correct me on this. We talked about it. We want to enable you to change characters when you go to jail. So if you go to jail, you can swap characters and your time will tick down normally. So as in, if you get 30 minutes and you log out, it's still 30 minutes. It doesn't go up. There's no crazy. You're not punished for logging out. You're not. Think of it like a cooldown period for for the police and for your character. We're not punishing you for it at all. If you want to log out and go do something else or play a different character, if you want to play a different character and get out of jail right away, do that. Go right ahead, play a different character. That's the take on that. Hopefully, is fine.
Yep. Yeah, you don't
um,
have to stop the game to switch characters. Is what you want to, yeah,
yes,
that works.
yes, and hopefully, yeah, jail time not counting down is the absolute worst. I agree. It's very counterproductive. Jail time it's not a punishment. We don't want it to be a punishment for you guys. We want you to be able to just keep role playing, even if that means swapping characters and letting that criminal cool down for a little bit, which should be the play sometimes. Sometimes you should do that.
Yeah, and the more we build up the DOJ, if the DOJ and the prison actually then at one point is really a fun alternative place to have different mechanics and actually lots of roleplay, then the times will also be longer that you will have to spend there if you choose so and not switch characters.
Yes, absolutely.
39.
Okay. Yep. Question 39. Let's see here. Do you plan to have any rules that will stop people from doing corruption with PD and EMS? Or are you happy with all that to just role play out? In the beginning, we're not going to have any corruption. Now, this is because we're going to be a fresh server coming straight into it, and we're going to have enough on our plates already to begin with, and corruption is really going to detract from everything we're working on. And while we're teaching a brand new cycle of police officers how to actually do the role play, on an out of character basis, and getting that so that because cops are the cornerstone of the server, we just want to make sure that cornerstone is nice and shiny and can withstand a little corruption before we let people go hog wild. We wouldn't want a situation where we have an entire PD force and like 10 of them are corrupt for some reason because they have some dark vengeful past. That would
Yeah.
really it would really make it difficult to give the civs good role play in a situation where they're all learning how to do the role play to begin with. So we wanted eventually
We're gonna
just
keep an eye on it. Yeah.
not at
Well,
the beginning.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye on it. And there's some things that I want to do with corruption where it's known to some people within the staff, but that I don't know. Because I'm gonna be running the PD, I don't want to know who's playing a corrupt cop. Because
Yeah.
one of my things is right, Katie doesn't want to know all the crim mechanics.
100%.
I don't want to know all the if there's corruption going on in the PD, I don't want to know. So I'm gonna pass that off to someone else. But I've got some things that I want to do around corruption to make sure that they understand about leaving evidence, that there needs to be trails. You're not just playing corrupt so that you don't get caught. This is a story arc for that particular character. So you need to make sure that you're doing things the right way.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I want to do.
This is the idea.
Yes.
Now Axie mentioned shivs. There will be shivs in prison. So I'm not sure if we made the have we posted the preview about the custom weapons yet? I guess that's the little if not, then the bird's out of the cage. So actually, if you want to post the baseball bats as an example, that might be pretty fun. We will have custom weapons on the servers, guys, and this will be different. It'll come in a couple different forms, but we'll have different special knives, baseball bats, things like that, and different sledgehammers. Different melee weapons with that look really good, and just spice things up. Really, just keep it fresh. So yeah, like the prison will have a whole set of prison melee weapons eventually, and we'll do different themes, and it'll be really interesting. So yeah, the weapons will be really cool. I'm very excited about them. Very excited about custom weapons. I really want to see some and we will have execution animations with those melee weapons, by the way, because I don't know if you guys have seen all the execution animations with melee weapons.
So many.
There's so many, and they are so cool, and they work with the custom weapons, so they just look extra brutal. Like I can't tell you how the execution animation for the baseball bat looks when it's a sledgehammer. It's insane. It looks amazing.
It looks so
So,
good.
yeah, I'm all about custom weapons. All my homies love custom weapons. This is gonna be a fun one. Very cool. Okay, let's see here. So we got more questions. Question 40. We're getting down to the getting down to the last couple ones. Katana, yeah. I mean, I would love to see a katana, of course. Absolutely. If we can do it right. So we have some limitations. We can't add like I can't add nunchucks. But if it works with the shape of a baseball bat, for example, or shape of a knife or like a hatchet, right? Like pre-existing. Think of the pre-existing weapons and then think of a loose template. So if it kind
Slash
of
me
works with that,
teleports behind you.
yeah.
A plastic
All right,
flamingo.
question
40.
Yeah,
Sorry. That was the flamingo part that got me on that one.
that's okay. Throwing weapons too. Stop, Axie. Quit it. Jesus, he's teasing. Look at him. Question 40. Will there be very good money making systems for both legit and criminals? Something that'll balance out and take away the grind and create more role play. Other question with the DOJ: will there be some form of periodic event or instance that involves both prisoner wardens, maybe a mini game or something? Yeah. So DOJ. I know this is going to sound kind of weird, but a lot of the stuff DOJ is going to get planned around is going to be getting them out of the prison. So taking the inmates to clean the highway up, taking the inmates to do public work over here, taking the inmates to, you see what I'm saying? You get where I'm going with this? The idea is that we want to have a level of interaction with the world that isn't strictly related to them just being in prison. Because while the prison's great and we'll add a lot to it, it'll be more meaningful when there's a lot more reasons for them to move around the map fully, right? So giving DOJ a lot of reasons to leave and come back and leave and come back, from escort missions to security for PD, a lot of different things. DOJ will have a lot of jobs outside of just guard prison, do prison thing. So yeah, that's what's going on with DOJ. The money making systems for both legit and criminals. This is how I want you to visualize making money on our server. The civilian jobs are consistent, safe income at maybe a lower rate, but consistent being the key word. So if you work a job, you will get the money to do a thing that you want to do. Crime is a gamble of risk and reward. That scales to your task. So if you're doing petty crime, the risk is low, but the reward is low. And as you go higher up in the crime tree, it'll start getting a little higher. Now you have the potential to make great money, but you also have the potential to lose it all. And I mean that. I want you guys, if you guys mess up, I want some of you going poor, because we're going to add a lot of mechanics that are going to make the world feel really good in terms of like homeless people, like dumpster diving and soup kitchens. And we want to go down that road. We might not have all of that on launch, but we want to have some of that on launch, especially the dumpster diving bit. So we definitely want to have, if you run out of cash, the city should still be survivable, right? And recoverable, playable. So that's a genuine concept we're making sure we look at. So yeah, cool stuff. Let me see here. So the money making system. Obviously, we don't want people grinding it. Me and Snow have talked about a lot of different ways we could prevent some grinding. One idea we have is, so the day-night cycle on the server is going to be a little longer than you guys are definitely used to. A lot longer. I think we talked, Snow, what we have it written down somewhere. I think we talked about a couple hours for each, or a couple hours for daytime. And then I think it was like a third of the time for night, something like that.
Yeah, it was something like 3 hours day, 2 hours night or something. Or 4 hours
Something.
day, 2 hours night, something like that.
Yeah. And the point about this, guys, is that we want to base some of the jobs around the time of day. Some jobs you can't work at night. You go home. Please go home, aka go role play. Like go do some RP. Don't grind us. Please go home. So please stop working. We're not paying you overtime. Yeah, so that's the idea. So some jobs you won't be able to work at night. And some jobs you will only be able to work at night. That leaves the possibility open for that. A long nighttime and a long daytime give us a lot of options in terms of breaking up the grind, giving you guys a little bit of a different, it gets nighttime, the nightlife, when the city, when it turns night, the city comes alive. Certain aspects of the city light up. Some certain stuff starts happening. Things hopefully turn on, and turn off. So we want the daytime to matter. That'd be cool. That's what we're aiming for. Of course, all this is subject to change. If it doesn't work very well and we're finding that people are really upset they can't grind all night, or maybe it's just not we're not getting the right outcome, we're subject to change on all this. Same thing with the vehicles, and we're going to be listening to feedback on this. So we're going to count on you guys.
We won't be shutting or closing shops during the night either, or something like hardcore like that. You'll
Yeah,
still be able to buy food or whatever.
And it's very much an experiment. So we're just trying new things out. I mean, I think we've all played on 5M servers quite a fair amount. If you're here in this meeting right now, you've played a lot of 5M servers. So we're just trying new things, and if those new things don't work, we'll try more new things. And that's that's the take on it. I hope you guys are happy about that. Question 41. Will there be a fire department? We have talked about a fire department, and we talked about fire scripts and what we could do to make that interesting. Kind of evaluating if we need one. I mean, it's a bit of an extra thing. Right now, we're worried about medical, worried about DOJ, and we're worried about DOC. Right? We need leaders for those things. So before we can consider a fire department, we need to consider those and get those fleshed out. I'm not saying no to it, but
We're going to keep evaluating the need for it as time goes on.
yeah,
you
we
go.
need a little more time on that. Question 42. Will all cash be automatically taken out of a person's pocket when robbed, or will they need to actually take it out of your pockets? Sorry if I'm too late on this question. It's a little early for us to say. Generally speaking, I want there to be a way for you to bind another player and to interact with them in a bunch of ways.
I can
It'll
already tell you how the robbing works itself.
Oh, perfect. Snow, if you would
So
detail.
you get access to the inventory. You can drag stuff out. I think the main concern with this was that you lower your weapon, but when you rob someone, it keeps your weapon in the position that you as you did it, so it keeps getting held up. So you're not
When you're in the
lowering your
menu,
weapon
right?
and they don't run away.
Gotcha. You're always pointing the gun. You're never taking the gun
Yeah.
off of them.
If you
Don't have to,
Okay.
like, drop it, type / rob.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you pointed your gun while robbing them, you'll keep pointing it.
We will not have a rob button where you can forcibly take them hostage. We will not have no button for this, people. You're gonna need to do it in RP. We may have things like zip ties. I'm not against that, but we certainly won't animation lock anyone. None of that stuff. If you played on a server previously with that feature. Let's see here. Question 43. Will EMS LEOs be permitted to own businesses in addition to their role as EMS LEO, or will they have to choose one? Yeah, they can own businesses. We're not going to limit the businesses artificially. I don't believe in it. If you want to put in the role play to run 50 businesses, play my server more. Play it more. Keep playing. I'm fine with that. Continue to play all day long. Obviously, we won't let anything get out of hand, right? We're not going to let anything get too crazy. If there's any loopholes that maybe we didn't account for, but if you're just trying to run a security firm and a lawyer firm and doing this and doing that and doing that to your heart's content, please go right ahead. As many businesses as you want. If you want to role play a cop and have some Civ RP on the side by having a shop, more power to you.
Yeah, the way the system is set up is completely modular. You can be in the police while you are in a gang, while you're own 3 businesses. And they all have progression, and then at the same time you have also 2 more professions. So there's a lot to do if you wish to, but there's only so much time in a day. So
I'll go cop, baby. What?
Yes.
obviously at the beginning you're not allowed to be in a gang while a cop because there's no.
Right.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Of course.
But
Right.
Wanted to
eventually.
reiterate, I forgot about that. I was from technical standpoint, you can, but no, don't do that.
PD gang, huh?
Yes. Yes. That is all the questions. We've gone through everything you guys have submitted. I hope that the answers have been satisfactory. If there's anything you guys are unclear about, post it in the QA meeting, and I can try to quickly go on it, get over it.
Yeah.
Really happy to. Really happy to just have a sit down with you guys about this. I know it's been a minute coming. I know we missed the last weekend. It's just been super busy. We're getting this done, trying to get as much progress done as we can, right? Working on this very hard. So if I'm making a 5M server is not an easy job. There's a reason there's not a lot of them out there. This is a tremendous amount of effort and work, from designing all these systems to making them work together and coding it. I mean, Snow is and Axie and all of our devs are working hard. Same thing with our moderators and our staff. Skobsu has been very wonderful. Michael has been in the channels too. You guys have been talking with. We're still on track for a Q1 release. Snow, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, Q1 is still gonna work out, and we're definitely also still working for devs. Looking for devs. If any of you you need to know how to code. I don't need anyone that is learning coding or something right now.
Yes.
Ideally, multiple languages. Ideally, including Lua. Definitely including JavaScript. If you can write JavaScript, you can probably write Lua, so that's fine. We also got a bunch of new devs that you've probably seen, but I haven't introduced yet. So we got Deep Frozen. I think he can't be here today. He's in the States. But he's been awesome, and he's been working on stuff. And we got some Pukos who's working on some front-end stuff for us right now. I think he's here.
Yes.
And we also had Moxie. I hope I say it right. Moxie joined the team. She's been awesome too. And Dryadir, who's been working very hard recently. So if you could all welcome them, that'd be awesome.
Dear, welcome.
Obviously, Katie just mentioned it too. We got some awesome new staff members too. Humble, Skopsu, Oikarion, and Turkey was obviously here from the beginning. But
Turkey beans.
Yeah.
Classic beans.
And some great helpers that have been super active. Like Michael has been super active and
Yes.
helping everyone that he could find. And I think I'm missing one person. I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
Kitten. I forgot
Kitten.
Kitten.
Yeah.
Kitten was also
Kitten.
very active in helping people. Yeah.
Yep. Kitten and Deep are kind of a little busy for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So there's that. There was a question that came in from Reflex about DOC possibly being able to reduce charges for like good behavior.
Likely not. Just because I find it frustrates people. It really does. It just frustrates people because what will happen is unintentionally people will feel like they're getting slighted. One person will get a discount, the next person won't get a discount. When you leave that up to players to interpret, it is inevitably going to frustrate more people than it makes happy, in my opinion. And if it makes too many people happy, then it's not really a punishment to begin with, right? So why even have the punishment? It's a popularity pass, and I would rather just apply the rules equally to everybody so we're all on the same page for what to expect. And that way, nobody's getting surprised and unhappy by feeling like they're getting unfairly targeted or anything like that. It circumvents a lot of problems for us.
It's going to be fun. I mean, you're going to want to RP in prison. So,
yes. Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yep. And a lot of this is going to be optional. I promise you guys, the idea here is that you're going to get in prison. You're going to be like, wait a minute, hold up. This is actually pretty good.
It's also a different prison.
Yeah.
It's also a completely new prison.
Yes.
Salvaging for mechanics. Any ideas on how that will be implemented?
Mechanics will work like different than
I don't think we're going to have any. Yeah, we're not
salvaging like that. No.
Salvaging may not even be a thing. This isn't a continuation of TRP. I know a lot of you guys are coming over from TRP, and you were very familiar with that server and what me and Axie and Snow did on it and run as well. And even Nicotine from playing on it and whatnot. So, but this is certainly not a continuation. This is a custom framework. We're rebuilding these a lot of these features from scratch. They're going to work differently. There probably won't be any salvaging.
Yeah. standing in a scrapyard with RP was tiring, right? So
Yeah, it was
what did you do? You didn't really RP with anybody. Our goal of our
exhausting.
server is to get you to role play with other people. We want to help that role play along. We want you to be able to engage with other people in these jobs.
Okay. All right. This is good. I think we've covered about everything we were looking to cover.
Yeah. In under 2 hours.
Thank
Yeah,
you all
under
so
2 hours.
much. It's been great getting to kind of talk to everybody and answer some really important questions. And we're really, really looking forward to getting to play with you guys.
We are going to
And
try
if
and
you're
set
a
up
dev,
another.
come do
Yeah, if
free
you're a
work
dev,
for us, please.
Come help us if you're a dev.
Come do work.
We're going to try and set up another Q&A session for next month. We'll probably do it a little bit later in the month, since we're doing kind of mid-month this one. So look for another probably continuation or a new questions for QA meetings to pop up sometime in January. And then we'll do another one